Welcome back to our Godzilla marathon. Well, it's safe to say that Toho's attempt to cash in on the first Godzilla movie went so well, there wasn't another Godzilla film for 7 or 8 years.
That was mostly because Universal had to actually push a bit the ball to stimulate them.
So, in 1962, and for the first time for Godzilla, in colour, we have King Kong versus Godzilla. Now, this was directed by a returning Ishiro Honda from the first movie. And this was the start of the big era for Godzilla, the 60s, where we had one almost every year.
Oh, so basically, needless to say, this movie is the one that gave Godzilla his groove back. A crossover with King Kong.
Now, we should mention, we are doing the original Japanese release of the movie first. We'll do the American one next time. But we're doing the version that was on the 2019 Criterion Blu-ray box set release. And at this time, we didn't have quite the best quality version of the original movie. It's not nigh on unwatchable, but some clips of the movie are of better quality than others.
Universal had a better way to preserve his material.
So for now, we'll just have to make do with this cut of the movie, and because Criterion, for whatever reason, couldn't get their hands on the 4K restoration of this film. Don't ask me why.
Also, before we start, content warning, just mentioning, because this is one thing I remember, even if I haven't seen the movie in a while. In universe for the story, the characters do visit Skull Island at some point, and because they had to involve the stuff from the original King Kong mythos, as in the natives of Skull Island, expect people in blackface in this.
Well, it's not Skull Island, actually.
You get what I mean, though.
3, 2, 1, go.
Luckily, we have already commentated on a King Kong film, so it's not like we're completely in the dark for King Kong films.
And Peter Jackson loving to be referential. His version of King Kong references a lot to the original movie, believe it or not. So,
interestingly enough, despite this being a big hit, I don't think the King Kong series really, went into overdrive the same way the Godzilla series did after this.
I get the idea.
That's not to say we didn't have.
Universal did not see the same potential as some of its monster movies, especially after the 30s and 40s came along. As you said, Java, there were a couple of King Kong movies, particularly reboots over the decades, like the 70s version of it I grew up with, but not as much.
And an 80s version, too.
Alright, I forgot which specific one. The one that had the Carlo Rambaldi doing the King Kong puppet animatronic, whatever it's called.
Now, while the credits are going on, there were plans to have this film, for slightly different plans for this movie. Like, they were wanting to film on location in Sri Lanka, but they had to scrap that because it already cost them a good chunk, paying RKO $220,000 or 80 million yen to get the rights to use King Kong.
Damn.
Go figure. Well, apparently they wanted their money's worth. Just listen to that soundtrack already. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's a returning Akira Ifukube.
Always bad on that. Hey, it's the Universal logo.
Now, interestingly enough, while King Kong may not have seen a huge slew of movies, believe it or not, it was actually over in Japan where he got a sequel to this movie called King Kong Escapes, which involves him having to fight Mechanicong.
Also, Professor, not just to answer your question, that's what happens in the Nier games. Because of shenanigans tied to the Drakengard games, your rotation movement actually stops. Don't ask me how everyone is not dead, so...
Also, as you know, news.
Yes, plot convenience news.
I love how they literally say, as you know. But, hold on, wait, the ice starting to melt. Don't we have something or someone caught in the ice?
The true origins of the Japanese version of Two-Face.
Yeah, you can see sometimes the quality just jumps.
Yeah. Also, what the hell was that puppet in the background? I guess it's the newspaper mascot?
Miracle series.
And of course we got. So this is Mr. Taco, played by Ichiro Arashima, who is, well, the guy chasing the audience.
So our protagonist is apparently head of Pacific Pharmaceuticals. The head
Well,
of a
he's
pharmacy.
not the protagonist. Got some other guys for that.
That said, how about that? A pharmaceutical rep who actually wants his company to, not be sellouts.
Oh boy, I love seeing these scenes coming up in films like this. How Japanese directors direct English-speaking actors. Or back then, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we all talk like we're in a 1920s movie.
I mean,
Yeah, don't you say here.
I've heard worse, particularly from the period, the 60s specifically.
So these are like Japanese actors trying to sound American, basically.
No, these are American actors.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was a case of, white people that were living in Japan and were used specifically for the role of white people actors for Japanese movies, but no, from what I checked, no, these are purely American actors.
I would love to have seen behind the scenes of how, because there
What
were scenes like
the
this
hell was that?
advertising some medicine.
No, it was like the editing, like we were cutting to a close-up of the plate used.
Perhaps this is the story that gave Frank Miller inspiration for how Dark Knight Returns goes. Interspersing media with the society.
Can you check, Dweebs, who this guy on the left is played by? I think I might recognize him, but I need to be absolutely sure.
These two protagonists are played by, we have Osamu Sakurai, played by Tadao Takashima, and Kazuo Fujita, played by Kenji Sahara.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was going to say, because apparently there were also scenes like Japanese people directing English-speaking people in Godzilla Final Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So from what I understand, it sounds like the Japanese studios didn't have as much faith in this project, but they suddenly found their faith restored when Universal basically drove a giant truck full of money to their doorsteps.
Well, no, remember they had to pay a lot to RKO to get the rights. All Universal did was edit the American version. Well, apparently the main idea for this movie was apparently done behind the back of the guy who originally created King Kong.
Oh boy.
Willis O'Brien, the guy who did the stop motion animation for King Kong, the original, he came up with a story outline in which he Kong battled Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, that was
He gave
its
it to producer.
feature.
Yeah, he gave it to producer John Beck to develop, but then Beck went behind O'Brien's back and gave the project to Toho, where they replaced Frankenstein's monster with Godzilla, and the original story that O'Brien came up with was scrapped.
Okay,
Please
outside
tell
of
me they at least gave O'Brien some royalties.
get the idea, no, Drova. This is early Hollywood we're talking about. Also, I got confused a bit with the actor. I believe that he was Hitoshi Ozawa, but no, that's not him. But no, okay, backstabbing blatantly like this aside, I understand the thought process a bit because the Frankenstein monster is still not as big to be a genuine threat towards Godzilla, King Kong. Resilient, yes, obviously, but not as much, I argue, to be as a threat. While Godzilla, yes, the two titans are more in pair with what they do with each other.
Did he ever include in the script how Frankenstein's monster, or as I sometimes just call him, Frankenstein? Yes, I know it's technically the name of the guy who created him, but we're to a point where media occasionally calls the monster Frankenstein as well, and there have been some stories that have looked into the mythology behind that. Heck, Once Upon a Time even has basically Frankenstein lament the fact that he might as well be synonymous with the monster himself, so I'm guessing the idea was going to be that the monster would have been, I don't know, doused with radiation or made to grow big or something to fight King
that's
Kong.
one explanation I can think of.
Oh, and as for Mr. Sahara-san, he was in a Godzilla movie before as an extra. He was young Glover on the sound.
What an upgrade.
Or as King of the Monsters put it, man on boats.
You know, it's interesting. For as much as people like to do throwbacks to Godzilla in black and white, you'd think that'd have been its own era, but no, it got two, at best technically three, well, maybe four if we're counting the American versions of the first two films, but shoot, even the American version of the second film, from what Dweeb suggested, is barely considered a Godzilla film as well.
And also, this version of the movie leans a bit into how the Japanese TV industry was at the time. The American version just not removed it, but gave it more of a broad strokes.
They did not believe it was as important to talk about.
From what I can garner, basically, the head of the pharmaceutical corporations doesn't like what they're resorting to for ratings and views, and I guess these two just work at that station and are like, a paycheck's a paycheck.
You need to find something big to draw in the ratings.
So this is basically a world where King Kong survived his movie and somehow Godzilla will return. Either it's going to turn out that there's a third Godzilla, or maybe we'll see a return of one of the original two.
The American submarine noted there was an iceberg that was glowing.
Unlike the last movie that Ishiro Honda did in the series, this has more of a comedic tone.
Mm-hmm. Can see that.
Yeah, definitely have noticed that. I'm guessing part of the reason this one's more comedic is that they figured that the Godzilla franchise needed a bit of a shakeup. I mean, that's not to say that the serious tone didn't work wonders for the first Godzilla film, but I'm guessing that, like a lot of films, once you know more about Godzilla, there's only so much you can do with the fear factor of him. Oh, by all means, play it up, But I'm guessing that at this point they want to make it more like the DC universe where people are kind of just more used to this sort of supernatural stuff occurring. That said, does the whole TV stuff have much of a point to the overall narrative?
It serves for people to actually go on Discount Skull Island.
Okay.
It's called Faroe Island.
Yes, the place where Will Ferrell was born.
Why did they have to change the name? For some rights?
Possible.
Future spouse?
Okay, no.
Just say fiancé.
Okay, I've had to hazard a guess, Joe. I don't know if it's the same applicable as China, but maybe the word skull might have been seen as a bad omen for this kind of a product, maybe.
Possible. Japan really hates death, yeah.
Well, not necessarily that. Some cultures, specifically China, but I don't know if this is strictly also to Japan, have particular laws in regards to show or talk about skeletons, for example.
But you can't have a press conference without news reporters, but apparently there's a bigger story breaking.
So, Godzilla literally is about to get unleashed because a submarine accidentally rammed itself into an iceberg.
Congratulations, America, you fucked it up.
God. To think, we've actually managed to do something worse than the Titanic regarding an iceberg. Actually...
Why was Universal okay for having the Americans be the one instigating the monster?
Although, to their credit, I guess it is legit just a simple accident.
It's just an accident, yes.
Pissed itself.
Like, it amuses me, but I do wonder, like, this was not the time for Hollywood to be self-deprecating.
I guess, to be fair, something like this that's literally just a simple accident doesn't even really make them look incompetent. It's like legit a freak of nature accident, essentially, that no one could have seen coming.
I don't know.
As opposed to say something like,
I'm getting reminded of the U.S. military fucking up in Godzilla 1998 instead.
Oh God! Like, I will say this. I'd say it treats them better compared to, say, something like Kingsman: The Golden Circle, which suggests that, everything is the Americans' fault whatsoever, and it's just blatant incompetence. Here, it just seems like, nah, this could have legit happened to anyone.
Those faces.
Uh-oh. I love how he doesn't even need to see him. He just recognizes the roar.
Well,
that said, I do find it funny that they were looking up at what was just the ceiling, really. Like, it's like they're implying they're going to look up.
That was because the submarine had jammed on the bottom part of the iceberg, so Godzilla was probably shooting downward.
Oh. I should explain the whole Willis O'Brien thing. O'Brien tried to sue Beck, but he didn't have the money to do it. And so in 1962, he died at his home in Los Angeles. So not long after that, Marion C. Cooper, who was the producer and co-director of the original 33 movie, didn't like the idea of this project. He stated in a letter addressed to a friend of his, "I was indignant when some Japanese company made a belittling thing to a creative mind called King Kong versus Godzilla. I believe they even stooped so low as to use a man in a gorilla suit, which I have often spoken out against in the early days of King Kong." And he even tried to file a lawsuit against the movie, claiming he owned the King Kong character. But since he wasn't the sole legal owner, the lawsuit never went through.
So basically, what I'm getting at is that, well, this is one of the coolest things ever that's happened in media. Like a lot of things, behind the scenes, it's pretty cursed.
Yeah.
Also, let me get this straight. So the original creator guy also died the same year this movie came out. Jesus. That's
Getting
pretty
some,
sad,
getting some
honestly.
Spider-Man Turn of the Dark flashbacks.
Oh god, Jesus. Like, I guess at least unlike Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, this, again, iffy dated stuff aside, turned out to be pretty cool, but
I was gonna say, I
guess
mean,
we-
it sucks that the guy died, but considering how cursed the entire production of that stage play was, I'm surprised there wasn't any more deaths.
the amazing thing is
juice.
he died literally while he was trying to sign the contract for the show to be made.
That really does scream some, divine intervention kind of thing. It's kind of similar to the thing that happened during the development of the Iron Doctor Moreau in the 90s version.
So I'm guessing in this version the Islanders are at least not cannibalistic.
No, but they're wearing. I'll say what Brandon Tenold said in his review. Island face.
Mm-hmm. Again, it's part of the old stereotypes. Natives of undisclosed kind of culture, Polynesian, or similar, having to literally boil alive the poor white protagonists.
If I were to play somewhat devil's advocate here, this is one of those cases where it's a made-up island, so technically one could say they're technically not offending anyone. That being said,
they're still doing the blackface thing.
Yeah, and you can probably tell what's what, essentially, and unfortunately, Japan, even to this day, has quite a bit of issue with race relations and all that.
This is basically a holdover from King Kong, so I'm blaming all parties involved, basically.
Also,
Fair enough.
Why is their guide wearing island face?
Yeah, I guess the thought process to this is that he's the one who has brought them here, so he has used to come and go. So being accustomed to the climate means he's supposedly in universe as stand. Again, you have to understand one thing: with a couple of different cultures and ethnicities, like Mediterranean people, like in Greece, and for example also my country, Spain, having lived near the sea and with a more hot climate, we tend to have the effect of getting tanned very easily. That's, I guess, the effect they were trying to convey, but it really is just as clumsy, unfortunately.
I will say this, you just want to show someone getting tanned, that's fair and fine. The problem is when you try and do something like, well, much as I love her, Kathy Bates in North trying to show up as an Inuit. That was
right, now what's this device? Where?
What's this? A mystical music box.
Yeah, the voice of the gods and all being seen these routine.
Apparently in this version, the Islanders at least, were like, okay, instead of immediately trying to kill and eat them or sacrifice them to Kong on the bed,
that being
they
said,
more told them
offer
to
cigarettes, yes, tobacco for
even
the
to the
child.
Well, at least they were
okay.
They were considering not giving smoke immediately, but to instead give candies.
Don't blame me
if a cop sees you. Oh.
Mothers first. What?
All right. I was going to say earlier. Apparently, Honda wanted this film to have the same dark tone of the previous movies, but the studio wanted it more lighter and softer so they could get a wider audience. Honda didn't like that, but it was the most intended film in the franchise, so. And also, honestly. With this kind of story, I'm not sure how well a dark tone would have worked.
I do think it was probably for the best they went with more of a comedic tone, given everything involved.
Again, even Peter Jackson, when having to, having his story deal with the natives of Skull Island, that did not particularly end well in general of portrayal. It's probably the reason why the Monsterverse pretty much ditched them entirely.
Lightning doesn't roar. I don't know. Tornadoes do.
Don't you see? Don't you see? Motomo Toriyama told me that lightning is the best. I'm sorry. I thought this was not an MGM product. Also, Motomo Toriyama told me that lightning is the best protagonist, so I guess she has to roar. Eventually, hear roar and everything.
Look, mate, the government said no.
Well, the government's not the boss of me.
Well, are they actually in international waters at the moment?
I
Well,
think they are.
if I had to understand correctly how the Navy works, each government military ship counts as internal jurisdiction.
So stop me if you heard this before, but we've got two long-lost lovers, and I'm sure a guy who's eager to get back to his beloved.
To quote
Yeah,
Todd Albertrova, it just
the
works.
submarine of Hammy Actors has vanished, so now the helicopter of Hammy Actors will try and find them.
That said, one thing that I do notice is like they seem to have gone back to the roots of the first movie by definitely taking a bit of a while.
What the hell did they put in the water to create that yellow effect?
Godzilla!
Did he piss
What do we
in
tell
the
you
water?
about? Yes. That's why the water got so warm that the submarine caught
Radioactive
fire.
piss, yes.
Yeah, uh-oh.
It was consistent with what the previous movie ended, with Godzilla being buried by an avalanche in solid ice.
And he melted the ice with his laser piss.
Between Godzilla, you're Americans, aren't you?
Bring out the toy tanks!
They always work.
And also, yeah, this is the first time we hear this Godzilla theme.
I love it. They built a base on site just in case he came out of the ice. Give him credit for preparation.
Wow, this aim sucks.
Well, I mean, they can't actually, hit the guy in the suit, but
Right, yeah, so I understand we probably have a new suit for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, still the same suit actor as in the previous movies.
Mm-hmm.
Kudos to dedication. Yo, I woke up.
Jesus, it was cold in there.
You can tell it's a new suit because this Godzilla is more agile than the previous incarnations.
Like, yeah, he can actually use his tail properly.
It's probably mostly because, they kind of have to, considering King Kong has to go to toe with him, and they do not need to fight to be too much puppetry.
So, yeah, definitely an uptick on the effects as well. Makes sense since, hey, we're in color, so now people will be able to see even clearly now. Well, Godzilla's back!
Godzilla awakens again and wreaks havoc.
You know the drill, Japan! Panic! Panic! We're all gonna die!
Hey, the guy who died with the destroyer in the first movie's come back to life and he got his eye fixed. Akihiro Hirata.
But yeah, brand new Godzilla's suit was indeed designed for this film, with some alterations made for its overall appearance and whatnot. They removed the tiny ears and 3 toes on each fore, instead of 4. They enlarged central dorsal fins and gave it a bulkier body, essentially. And outside of the suit, a meter-high model and a small puppet were also built. Another puppet from the waist up was also designed that had a nozzle in the mouth to shoot out liquid mist, simulating Godzilla's atomic breath.
Why are they making a food out of a monster that's going to kill everyone?
Merchandising leaves. Okay,
Yeah.
Also, this guy needs some sedatives right now. He probably has ingested way too much caffeine.
Meanwhile, back here,
In Will Ferrell's Tropical Resort.
comedy.
Yeah, the scenes with the explorers, quote unquote, are intended to be more comedic until they find King Kong. Again, it does take a while for King Kong to actually leave his island.
First movie to the series to be in color and widescreen too. Toho scope, as they called it. I'm not sure this was the first Japanese movie in color, though.
I don't remember either.
So what I'm getting from this movie is that if Jack Black's crew from King Kong had brought cigarettes, they would have been able to convince the locals not to try and devour them that easily.
No, the first color movie in Japan was a film called Carmen Kokyo ni Kairu, or Carmen Comes Home, in 1951.
Called Fuji Color. Okay, it's a puppet, so thankfully we did not actually have a dead alligator to throw around, but still.
Just drop the thing. There you go.
Okay, I don't remember. Did King Kong had a signature roaring similar to how Godzilla did back in the day?
I
don't
recall.
Because the Peter Jackson version definitely had a relatively generic roar, probably done by Andy Serkis himself.
Well, at this point, King Kong was way more popular than Godzilla was, even in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's
Godzilla
right.
only had 2 movies.
That's right. He was the big draw of this movie. Like, what does it say that despite having just 2 movies, King Kong was that major? Like, there's a reason that there was a time when he was being considered to be like the big lead head of Universal's monsters, essentially. In fact, there are some cases where you'll even see him along the lineup of them. If I recall correctly, do Universal still have like any license to King Kong these days?
I don't know. Well, remember, the current batch of movies with King Kong are being made by Legendary.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Well,
yeah,
that
yeah,
was more
yeah.
of a deal.
That's part of why I
think,
asked.
I think by this point, the idea of King Kong is technically in the public domain.
Right, because we even have a King Kong musical starring Jodie Benson.
Wow. But remember, it was also a matter of how it was portrayed. Hence why the MonsterVerse just calls the monster Kong rather than just King Kong. And there was obviously the famous Nintendo court case where they had to prove that Donkey Kong was not technically a ripoff. So yeah, before he's confronting Godzilla, King Kong has to deal with a giant octopus. Why? Padding. And I
You
guess
know, interest.
and I guess to showcase the fact that King Kong is capable of going toe-to-toe against giant monsters.
So, interestingly enough, I guess this is where the idea for King Kong basically fighting monsters on his island came from.
Well, even the original did had, steal some of the monsters on Skull Island that King Kong fought, but it was worth noting that they were not as big. He was truly the king of the jungle there, while in this case he
Yeah,
has to confront something,
yeah.
picking something on his size.
Well, in this case, they used a real octopus. Apparently, there was a rumor going around that after they did after they filmed all the scenes,
They ate it, let me guess.
they someone in the production ate it.
Okay, on one hand, it's particularly morbid, like in true example of what I was saying about the pre-cannibal Holocaust, movie etiquette towards animal. On the other, it's kinda hilarious in a dark comedy way. It's just
Japan unironically do love their seafood like that, so I guess one could say it did not go to waste, but damn.
possibly that. Again, unfortunately, animals used in movies at this point in time tended to die anyway, so I guess it is technically a better outcome because, the poor fucker was used for something. It's still a bad look at the end of the day.
Okay, if I recall correctly, also, I'm guessing this is also where the idea of the natives actually fully respecting King Kong instead of simply fearing him came from,
Because
since
he
if I
protects
recall,
them, yes.
there are some iterations of King Kong where he is
Whoa.
basically the hero of the island, and the people there, do worship and more so celebrate him as opposed to fearing him and leaving sacrifices and whatnot. Exactly. There was recently an animated series based off of Kong Skull Island, which goes into like the prequel and whatnot, and turns out Kong had like this one native girl who he was good friends with, who then got killed by an octopus monster who decided to be spiteful and was constantly throwing the wrecks of ships that it sunk at King Kong just to try and goad him into fighting.
Just casually bombed the octopus, of course.
Although, to be fair, a lot of those look like they have to be digitally edited out because, yeah, it's
Yeah.
not doing a thing to it. That does make me wonder, what was the equivalent to digital editing back in the day?
Well, literally overimposing things on each photograms of the film. That's the best guess I can have.
Right, yeah.
It was quite literally an endurance test of patience.
You can tell they shot it at night to at least give the illusion that octopus is legit giant.
I mean, unless it's not a day to night shot. We'll give it that.
Not to mention that. Yeah, I mean, the effects do look a little bit ropey, but it's a lot better hidden at
There
night
is.
compared to. Oh, and now here's the suit they use for King Kong, which is
This was literally
it's
King
the
Kong's
face that
first
does it
time
for me.
ever.
It doesn't. It looks like King Kong is constantly fighting the urge to take a shit.
So, yeah, here's the deal. This was the first time a King Kong suit was ever used, since up till this point in time, King Kong was stop motion, essentially.
Grr. You woke. I was having my nightly drinking session, and you ruined it for me.
Boy, that octopus sure suddenly got bigger when King Kong picked him up.
Yeah, you can tell the scenes where it's just another puppet.
Oh my god, King Kong was so awesome that it turned to day for a second there.
Yeah, I noticed that too. That was probably the studio lights. That hurt its feelings more than the actual, body.
Sticks and stones may not break my bones, but it's the action you use that hurt me. I'm leaving.
Okay. So who they actually got inside the King Kong suite?
Let's see. I'm doing it up now. Shoichi Hirose, that's Godzilla's actor I
Okay.
mentioned earlier. Anyway, to celebrate a job well done, Kong's getting sloshed on that red berry juice that we saw earlier.
Fair enough.
I'm just gonna stand there and ore farm.
No, he's still. Kong, are you okay?
I was
You hope
gonna
you got a
go
bit of a
find a
problem.
kaiju, but then I got high. I mean, yeah, this is kinda like how I was when I was watching Joker Folia do. I told you, I'm never running out of material for this.
Seriously, the
You
way I've
did you
heard
see that in
about
the
that
cinema?
movie.
Oh, thank God, no. It was.
I did.
Well, to be fair, Reeves, did you had actual alcohol in the cinema? I don't think so.
No. Well,
Okay.
anyway,
So,
speaking of
so
drunk
he's drunk.
people, yeah, Kong.
Kong got smashed.
Yeah, he's passed out because he drank too much.
The fermented berry juice.
Will you
This
stop
prompts
making
everyone
that
to
noise and
dance.
try to sleep?
Yeah, like, they don't know, they're just making his hangover even worse.
It's like the Grinch, all the noise.
You know, this is definitely one of those iconic pieces of media that you can tell it is certainly iconic because of the date it came out, because by today's standards, you just know this movie would have been torn apart for its pacing. Oh.
So you know that scene earlier that we saw with the submariners?
Yes.
In the American version, all of them were dubbed over.
Even the Americans themselves?
Yeah.
That was I guess, to give quote unquote better acting to the performance.
Yeah, I was going. Yeah, because
Probably,
yeah, it's funny, but yeah, it was the acting in that scene was just pretty bad.
I get it. They're showing him their thanks, but Christ, those dance moves.
I'm sleeping. Damn it! Did you not see me drink?
All 500 of you.
What are you supposed to be? His cheerleaders? Again, he's technically done his job already. Let him sleep.
I thought off that octopus already.
At least we're not sacrificing women anymore to him.
This is going on for a while.
Yeah, this goes on for some time.
Let's go home now. Wah, wah. Okay, I think we've established that these people respect Kong now.
Are you absolutely sure about that, Java?
Need another minute or so.
Maybe seeing their bongos be beaten more and the women dance around will also show you
I
it.
love it. 2
if
minutes
we do
later.
It for 10 more minutes.
Let's go home now. Okay, fine.
Yeah, but we're going to take Kong with us.
Again, that has been the most baffling thing in all Kong adaptations in general. How the fuck did a small crew manage to capture something so big, even, completely passed out, because
But hey, who cares? I love it. It's a perfect representation of how Japan was probably feeling at the time. In fact, now's a good time to mention King Kong had top billing in this movie. As far as most people were concerned, this was a King Kong movie with Godzilla as the villain to be defeated.
Mm-hmm. It's also because King Kong, even in its original movie, was not seen as an evil figure, rather than just a beast that had been mistreated by people who had taken without his consent to America and then ultimately killed. Because again, it's the true story about who's the real monster, So in a match against Godzilla, which at this time was still still an enemy of humanity, because whenever he went, he just fucked shit up all over the place. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. There you go.
So basically, literally, this is a film studio crew taking in King Kong to fight Godzilla and basically make a movie out of it.
Okay, not for the movie part, but again, this idea will be revisited with Godzilla vs. Kong, the MonsterVerse version, including tying Kong to the raft, similar like that. The idea of trying to find a way to get a way to fight Godzilla because he's fighting his territory. Sorry.
The boss came in all this way to see his new ratings grabber.
The funny thing is, in the newer movies, it's more so the government who initiates bringing in King Kong to fight Godzilla. Here, it's the media corporation. So you're telling me that the media has more power than...
It's a pharmaceutical company.
You have to remember, Jova,
time to break out the Resident Evil gags about how a pharmaceutical company calls the shots more than the government.
You have to remember, Jova, it's also tying back a bit to the original King Kong movie, where it was the entertainment industry that saw potential in having the beast being presented as the wonder of the world.
In case Kong goes crazy, they put TNT on the thing.
And he probably may not be able to swim in water even this deep. Careful with that.
It's like that scene from the Two Towers where Grima Wormtongue almost blows up everyone.
I love it. This guy's like, no, I can definitely get King Kong to smile on cue.
I'll pulverize Godzilla because I'll use Pacific drugs.
I love it. It's like, yeah, I can definitely get King Kong to smile on cue. Like, dude, I'm just gonna let you know, King Kong's a bit of a prima donna in the showbiz. Last time he didn't get his way, he carried a woman up the Chrysler building.
That was because he did not like flashing lights, which, relatable, I guess.
Heads up, we got another ship coming in.
I wonder who could have done it. Wow, you gotta love it. This was literally just a drive-by hit from Godzilla diving into the water, not even trying to sink the ship.
Again, considering Godzilla itself is supposed to be a satirization of the average accidents happening on the shorelines of Japan, yeah, that makes sense. Of treating it like an
Yeah,
amusement.
because they're a bit too preoccupied with Godzilla, they can't let King Kong into the country.
Fair enough.
This is discrimination against monkey kind.
He's a passport driver.
Oh yes, it's a violation of his rights, like he said. You should know, King Kong has rights just like any man. We're gonna call in Phoenix Wright to defend for him.
And you got full responsibility for him.
Have fun.
I love how the executive was like, responsibility?
Oh no!
Perhaps this executive wasn't as altruistic as I made him out to be at the start. You were dead!
Got better.
Hokkaido.
See?
It's quite far up north, isn't it?
Hokkaido. I think that's the region where basically for dubs they make basically the people have Minnesotan accents.
No, don't go on a train in a Godzilla movie. You know what happens?
It turns you into a toy model. Truly horrific. I forgot. There were at least a couple of Marvel supervillains who had Esper gimmicks, turning humans into toys with scientific devices, but I don't remember which specific one did. And I don't mean mind control like the puppeteer, the Fantastic Four enemy. I mean, actually turning humans into puppets.
Meanwhile, Godzilla's like, hello.
I was supposed to be in this movie.
My name's in the movie too.
Where's my agent?
Sorry, Godzilla. Sorry, Godzilla, but you're the secondary character. Even though this is technically the third of your movies and the third of King Kong's, King Kong outbills you massively. Which is funny, because nowadays, isn't it kind of reversed where Godzilla's the bigger IP?
Even in general...
because we've got a more Godzilla movies than King Kong ones.
Yeah, like I said, King Kong only got a bunch of reboots over the decades, but that's it.
I think it's a case of the fact that Godzilla just consistently stuck around longer, so he became more well-known. Not to say that King Kong's hurting for popularity these days anyway, but still.
There's a particular funny
we're sorry to report that this train, we've had to make an emergency stop as a giant mutated lizard monster, whatever Godzilla is in this continuity, is making its way towards the train. Please evacuate in a calm, rational manner. I said a calm, rational manner? No! Ah!
Okay, Godzilla, it's movie free now. Do you really have nothing better to do than to just cause havoc in Japan?
It's a good job these conveniently placed coaches are here.
It's kind of funny with the titles. Dweebs, since I know you probably have watched it already because it's part of that collection, you know about the movie Terror Mechagodzilla?
Yeah.
Okay, 1975 movie. It follows specifically directly after the first Mechagodzilla's fight. It involves, if I recall correctly, also Gigan, I think. Basically, it involves only the specific kaijus and, that are more reptile based. You want to know how the movie is called in my country?
What?
Destroy Kong, the Earth is in danger. Even though
Even though
Kong is
Kong's
not
nowhere
even
in the
there.
movie.
Who the fuck made that title?
Oops. I will say this, though. One thing that interests me is that, again, despite the fact that King Kong was making money, Universal more or less let the Japan studios more or less roll the ball with King Kong. Like, again, nowadays we're kind of trained to expect a Hollywood studio to see a big money making project and go, let's sequelize the hell out of that. It's like, I guess maybe there was some sense of tact in that they didn't want to oversaturate the market with King Kong.
Hmm.
Although, like I said, you gotta love that the first thing that they did with the sequel was, of course, give King Kong a robot monkey version of himself to fight.
Yes, go on. Drive towards that monster to save one girl. Woman, sorry, but what could possibly go wrong? I know he looks like he's taking a sweet time about it, but
Don't you people realize I hate love? That's why I always attack romantic couples in these movies.
well, I mean, considering what he gave birth to later on, I don't blame him. Is that why Godzilla's single? He gave birth to Manila, and so he divorced his wife.
And she didn't even took it in the divorce.
No, she was like, nope, that's your problem. I guess, ironically enough, one of the best cases for him to have kids was the TV series based off of the 1998 Godzilla movie, which, yeah, from what I've heard, the TV series based off of it is much better than the movie.
I haven't still seen it. I only heard about it. What I did saw was an animated series around the same time about King Kong, which was weird as shit. I think I talked about it in this past, where it involves a guy that invents a device where he can project his conscience in order to mentally possess King Kong to fight kaijus. Not even kidding.
Yeah. So the UN wants Japan to save the world, and another H-bomb. You do know that's how Godzilla came to be, right?
Yeah, we literally got in this mess in the first place because of that.
Also, as for the other characters, honestly, I don't really remember a whole lot of their names. I recognize some of the actors because two of them, Miehama and Akiko Wakabayashi, would go on to be in You Only Live Twice.
Mm-hmm.
It is funny to
Because,
imagine
Toho let the filmmakers of that use them.
It is funny to imagine the UN going, okay, Japan, you've got the most experience dealing with Godzilla, so you take care of him for a time.
I mean,
King Kong's waking up from his hangover.
I could understand this in universe because, again, if kaiju started appearing out of nowhere, I would trust the country that had managed to take them out more effectively first.
Sure, yeah.
Oh yeah, that umbrella's gonna help.
It's comedy, Louis.
Well, it technically did cover him.
I would say that it's comedy based, but it's more like about comedy cringe. How thick is that rope to be cut, to taking this much to cut?
Pretty sure those ropes were sometimes made of flipping steel.
We can't! The press!
You're pointing a gun at your boss.
The drama of deciding to detonate King Kong or not.
See, but it's him himself who...
Uh.
Wait. Wasn't there supposed to be a kaboom?
I get the idea
Nope.
someone either crossed the wires or we got...
Okay, yeah, shoot. Just shoot at it instead. Up.
He survives this.
Can't believe...
yeah,
I
how are
can't
we gonna
believe
get versus
Kong is
Godzilla?
dead 1 hour in.
That's right, guys. King Kong died before he could fight Godzilla. No refunds. We got your
Who
money.
directed this?
There's
The
no
Coen
fight.
brothers?
Oh, God. But yeah, no, that just pissed him off.
I mean, I would
Well,
too.
God, that the poor guy in that suit. The suit's heavy enough, but with water on it, damn.
I hope the paycheck was good enough. But to be fair, I understand Kong. If I had just, had to deal with a giant octopus and got smashed, with fermented berries, the next thing that I know, some random idiots try to, bring me to fight to solve their own business. Yeah, I would be pissed off too.
And then try to blow me up.
Bob the Builder, can we fix Japan?
Bob the Builder, what are we even doing here?
Although the type of digging equipment looked more like the one used, for example, in Australia.
Well, at least they know the typical gist of how it goes now. You use fire to attract him and get him where you want him to go, basically.
Yeah. Hey, I love the way Kong was
like
actually...
he's going, "Hi everybody,
how's everybody doing?
And he's like, why are people screaming and running away from me? I just want to say hello.
He's quite literally a party animal.
So yeah, as you can tell, the King Kong suit was a bit more tricky for them, especially compared to the Godzilla suit. Like, the Godzilla suit, as we mentioned, had a lot of improvements, and hey, they even had a stagehand to use to help swing the tail prop from off screen, essentially. King Kong suit, on the other hand, went through a lot of hard development. The first suit was outright rejected for being too fat with long legs, giving Kong what the crew considered an almost cute look. A few other designs were done, essentially, before the final look would ultimately be used for it. As you can tell, it's definitely more stiff, essentially. The sculptor actually based Kong's face on the Japanese macaque, rather than a gorilla, essentially.
Yeah, I can see that. Alright, 1 hour in, roughly, we're finally about to get our first round. Depends on the
That's a
version.
good question.
Yeah,
Man,
Godzilla
look at
was
how
just
good
posing for
Godzilla's
the
suit
camera.
is. Sure, you might have top billing, but at least my suit's better than yours. Like, holy cow, King Kong's got a bit of a mushroom top there. Dude needs to work off that belly fat.
I know he's supposed to be a monkey, ape, whatever, but why is his arm so stretchy?
Yeah, and longer.
Okay, let's see.
It depends on the shot, but sometimes they are longer than
sometimes in different suits they use longer arms because
Yeah, two separate pairs of arms were created. One pair are the extended arms operated by poles inside the suit to give Kong a more gorilla-like illusion, while the other pair are the normal length arms, and they feature gloves that were used for scenes that required Kong to grab items and
Well,
wrestle
it
with
unfortunately
Godzilla.
gives the effect of Kong just being able to stretch his arms.
But it gets better. The suit actor, he wasn't just zipped into the suit. He had to be sewn into the suit in order to
Oh my
hide the
god.
zipper.
Did he actually beat a children at one point?
Oh god. It forced him to be trapped inside the suit for large amounts of time and, of course, gave him physical discomfort, essentially. In fact, in the scene where Kong drinks berry juice and falls asleep, he was trapped in the suit for 3 hours.
Jesus.
I hope
Oh,
that suit got enough ventilation, because Christ on a bicycle.
So yeah, our first round is a shrug more than anything.
tie.
Again, it's a good thing that the government, gambled enough and then did not bet that Kong would actually side with Godzilla to destroy the world.
I'm guessing at that point they figured, look, we'd be wasting power trying to stop King Kong coming, so let's just see how it goes and deal with things as they arrive.
Uh, okay.
It is
You're in
imperative that
Japan
you
in a
know this.
Godzilla movie. Nowhere is safe.
Oh, so it's a cage match.
No, what they're going to do is they're going to cover that bit up with. It's like what you see in a Looney Tunes cartoon. They dig
Yeah,
up the
pea
ground,
trap.
put stuff on it, cover it with mud and leaves and that to trick Godzilla into falling down, and then they'll blow him up. Oh god, more water, great. One as if one actor having to deal with a wet suit wasn't bad enough. Now we got two. Oh no, wait, never mind. Just filling it up.
Remember, it was, if I recall correctly, to lure Godzilla in.
Well, again, based off of the first fight, we at least know that King Kong can withstand Godzilla's atomic breath, which that's saying something, given that even the first kaiju Godzilla fought in the second movie,
Anguirus,
I think even he basically got burned to a crisp.
That's how he got killed, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, and that's the thing though. Going into this movie, some people thought, wait a minute, Godzilla's got like big fire breath, while Kong doesn't really have much in the way of special powers. So how the hell is he going to take on Godzilla in a fair fight?
You'd be surprised.
Badass normal. Though it's funny you mention that because, once again, time's a flat circle. When it came time for the Godzilla vs. King Kong movie of the decade
2021.
in 2020, in 2021, a lot of people were joking that Kong was going to be cooked since Godzilla had basically all the hacks at that point.
Also, that universe version of Kong at that point was smaller than, Godzilla, so people were wondering about the size. And they basically just said he grew up in between movies, which, fair enough.
Oh.
Whoopsie!
That was so mean.
Yes, they killed Godzilla before King Kong could. Everybody go home now.
Seems a bit too easy, that.
Again, to be fair, we have seen in Raids again that the military could be successful against Godzilla. It won't be the last time, but no, too early for that.
Don't worry, guys. We just got to get the oxygen destroyed.
Yeah, no.
Hey, we
Burying
have
him
Dr.
failed.
Serizawa. Oh, wait. No, sorry. That's just him reincarnated as somebody else.
Well, get me his own union equivalent.
Meanwhile, King Kong's headed to Tokyo.
Again with the cursed Lanky Kong arms. I wonder if Rare took inspiration from this design to create Lanky Kong.
Given how much Donkey Kong takes from King Kong in general, that would not surprise me.
You want to evacuate? What? You got two giant monsters heading your way.
We already went through this. It's the whole. This is the land of our fathers. We won't abandon it. I've seen this routine as well, a lot of times.
I've seen it in that
Is that
HBO
supposed to be a
Chernobyl
Louis
show.
Armstrong poster?
Definitely a jazz player, I guess.
I mean,
I can hear
he's
you,
right.
I'm only over here.
I mean, I don't know if there's supposed to be some big moral behind this, but no, he's absolutely right. She's foolish to try and stay. I get why they're staying. It's so that they can witness the fight between the two kaijus, but by all rational sense, she's bonkers. Oh, and Godzilla's heading to Tokyo now, too, so that's two natural disasters, essentially. But you know what? Of course, the iconic final fight has to take place in Tokyo. It's like how the most iconic Marvel fights have to take place in New York City. Guys, we need to decide on whether it's night or day, please.
We tried already with the whole trying to electrocute Godzilla and it did not work. What do you think it's gonna do this time?
Well, maybe if we just hit his vitals exactly right, it'll kill him this time. Maybe give him a heart attack.
Does he even have a heart?
Well, yeah. It's an organism, but it's multicellular, so it kinda has to.
You know, it's funny to imagine the actor in the Godzilla suit finally actually getting used to the suit and being comfortable in it. And then we got the actor in the King Kong suit who just sounds like he had a hell of a time.
I hate that.
And again, they literally had to sew him in there. Like, that has FNAF written all over it.
That is the FNAF effect going through. Thank God it was not something with spring locks.
Mr. Kong, please give me your good side. Thank you. One's apple flattened King Kong? We'll see about that. I love it. They're like audience surrogates. Oh, King Kong may be the hero, but how's he gonna win against a literal god? Zilla. Although again, as we've seen, Kong's apparently made of sterner stuff since he basically... Yeah, he got hurt by Godzilla's atomic breath, but it didn't fry him.
And he doesn't give a shit about the electricity, so there's that too.
I spit on your electricity. In fact, I'm going to eat it.
Literally,
Jesus.
holy...
Kong has at first his drinking problem, and now he's addicted to electricity.
I get the feeling this is kind of the Batman effect. Like, again, let's be honest, King Kong was the more popular one, so of course we're going to showcase just how badass he is. Don't worry! We can root for King Kong! He's just clumsy!
King Kong? I didn't vote for him.
Again, what tragic irony, the lovers separated at the train now. Like, honestly, I have to wonder if at this point this is secretly
Meanwhile,
a
Kong
running
caught a
joke.
fish that was this big.
Seriously,
Okay,
Kong,
okay.
just make up your mind how big you want your arms to be.
Okay, you all know one of the most iconic scenes with Kong holding up the train. So iconic that they made a ride out of this, actually.
I can see
Called
Oh, yeah,
why.
Confrontation.
Not sure about a source, but supposedly we're going to see Kong climb a building. Apparently, that was one of the things that RKO said Kong had to do in the movie.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. The most iconic scene with King Kong is the Empire State Building climb, so they had to do something like that.
Well, it's kind of tradition. I have a woman in my hand.
Even though this movie
Yeah.
did not have the native sacrifice a woman to him. Huh?
Remember, we want to be referential but not be too problematic. For the 60s.
Yeah.
Let me guess, is that woman the love interest? Again, I'm sorry if I don't remember the names of the romantic couples, but they are so dime a dozen in these movies, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Even amongst some of the better movies, the human characters aren't exactly the most memorable in the world.
They are, for the most part, vehicles to the plot, essentially. So they're not inherently bad, but man, oh man, there are just some times where I just don't care. And it especially comes to the point with the romantic couples.
Well, I mean, I guess climbing the Tokyo Tower was a bit too fragile for Kong, so he's going to climb the Diet Building instead.
Sure.
Now, apparently this may be part of Kong's planning, because, again, one thing to take a note, while Kong survived Godzilla's atomic ray blast, one thing you can tell from his expressions is Kong going, crap, I'm not ready for this. And it's Kong who more or less retreats, essentially. That is one thing that is always different between Kong and Godzilla, is that Kong, despite how the way he looks, does tend to use more so his smarts to get the upper hand against his enemies, whereas
Stop
Godzilla...
shining that light in my eyes. Jeez, I got a hangover, and I'm holding a doll of a woman in my hand.
Dang, it's not as tall as the Empire State Building.
That'll do.
It'll do.
Yep, that's
it's in my
right. It's
contract. I got to climb a building.
Yes, that's right. It's Fumiko. That pose he's doing.
Okay, it's a shame we don't have any of that red berry juice.
Well, they just
We
need
can
the
make
same
an
chemical.
Yeah, so what they're going to do, they're going to put the ingredients of the berry juice in the bombs to put Kong to sleep.
I guess that's the one justification of why, they will not to do this, because they're the drug company, the pharmaceutical kind of company. So
Also, of course, like in the original, a giant prop was made for Kong's hand to carry Mi Hama, the woman who plays Fumiko.
Well, when she's
Oh,
not a
wait a
doll.
minute. Fun fact, ironically, her character originally in the James Bond books actually gives James Bond a biological son. Obviously, that got changed to the movies, since originally You Only Live Twice comes after Bond's first wife dies, essentially. So he's so down and out that he goes to Japan, essentially, and ends up fathering a child with this woman.
there you go, defeating Kong with literal chemical warfare.
Well, I guess at least they didn't shoot me with bullets. That would have hurt.
Yeah, again, we have to remember that the original King Kong did manage to get taken out by a bunch of very weak planes. So they kind of had to buff him up for this.
Oh god, not a drum. But I think the idea is that the drums, I guess, placate him, which will help him go to sleep.
Effect, yeah.
Which is kind of ironic, given that the party that those people were doing looked like it could wake the dead, but I guess that was supposed to symbolize that they were keeping him asleep with that.
I guess he got used to that. Yeah, just in case you needed to know.
How loud is he playing those drums that it sounds like the whole section to Kong?
He's having a microphone to boost up. So yeah, instead of actually properly killing King Kong like in the original, movie, in this case, they just gas him to sleep.
Thank goodness he fell just the right way so that Fumiko wouldn't get crushed. Oh, by the way, fun fact, the actress playing Fumiko will return as a psychotic villainess called Madame Piranha in King Kong Escapes.
Mm-hmm.
I am now tempted to know the context behind a Madame Piranha of all things.
It's just a
which is funny because if I recall correctly, didn't You Only Live Twice also have killer piranhas in it?
Yes, it was the method that Blofeld used to, relieve incompetence from his premise.
It's all connected.
Clearly.
Speaking of connected, you want to know a company that was also involved in King Kong Escapes? Rankin Boss.
I guess did some support animation.
I wonder.
They were the, pioneers of stop motion animation during the dark age of animation period. So yeah, it makes sense. And like I said, they always had a good relationship with Japan to the point where eventually a lot of their animators migrated to Studio Ghibli. I mean, if at first you don't succeed...
Try again. He's a match for Godzilla now because...
We say so. Shut the fuck up.
Heroes cannot coexist. You're calling Godzilla a hero after everything he's done. Like, I get it. It's to sound fancy and say that, oh, these two are larger than life and can't coexist, so one will take out the other, but still, the way of putting it.
That reminds me, Joe, have you actually played as or against a kaiju deck in Yu-Gi-Oh?
Once, maybe. I
Because
forget how it functions,
It's
though.
the most hysterical thing ever, because on paper, it's actually fairly doable, The idea behind a kaiju, specifically a kaiju deck, is that the players that has kaiju cards can tribute the monster of of an opponent, all of them, to summon the specific kaiju on the opponent's field, and then, if a kaiju is on the opponent's field, you can special summon another kaiju that you have in your hand on your field. The idea being that the two monsters rise from nowhere and start fighting each other. Unfortunately, what people took out of this was, cool, free monster removal that actually bypasses protection from the adversary. Let me do that so that I can give effectively the opponent a vanilla that I can squash.
Yeah, that's
so this like time Kong
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Was forced to get drunk and fall asleep.
Look, he's doing a service to the Japanese government. We'll thank him with a pile of bananas later.
But he's going to have a bloody substance problem by the end.
Yeah, it's fine.
God.
Who cares? It's the 60s.
God, wouldn't
Nobody
that just be
cares about, drug addiction.
God, wouldn't that be the story? This is the story of how Godzilla got off the wagon from his alcohol addiction, but then later had to be hooked up to drugs.
And you know what's the best part about the Kaiju archetype, Jova? It was an idea from the TCG department, the Western division of Konami that made the card game, not the OCG.
Beautiful, beautiful.
That silhouette shot just then. One of the guys on the far right looked like he was vanishing from existence.
I also noticed some awkward way some of the men were animated while they were standing on top of King Kong.
Speaking of modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, I am pleased to see that Gladibeasts are still somewhat viable.
Well,
Speaking of monsters.
It's a testament to how much busted they were.
Like, and mind you, they were made around the time that synchros were
Cut?
entering the bill. What the heck? Wait, no, don't tell me we're going to actually airlift King Kong using giant balloons.
We're going to airlift him to fight Godzilla.
Where are we dropping Kong, boys?
It's funny you mentioned that, actually, since...
He stole out his ass and you carry around my hot air balloon.
I'm drunk and floating. Whee!
It's funny you reference Fortnite, since recently, Fortnite actually had a massive event that includes King Kong and Godzilla fighting alongside, of course, each other.
It's because they're using his strong wires that he showed off earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I get why they made this a comedy. Like, this scene. That scene alone is like, nope, we gotta be a comedy to justify this.
It's also to not make the movie potentially too bleak. It's still about, the risk of cities being leveled down and people being killed. So they wanted to do something more goofy to not to ease up the tension a bit more. Again, it's also mostly the reason why Kong has to get drugged, also in comedic fashion. Do shit again? Kong is really not having a good week.
No, he is not. But hey, at least he gets to see Mount Fuji, so that's nice.
And here's Godzilla climbing Mount Fuji for some reason. I forgot if it wants to harness the energy of the volcano or not. I love Godzilla's reaction shot.
Oh, thanks for letting me down, you assholes!
Couldn't you at least have tried to lower me to the ground?
Oof.
He's gonna have massive skid marks on his butt from that.
Wow, who knew being tackled by King Kong turns you into a toy?
Very floating toys.
Meanwhile, King Kong's like, nope, I'm out of here.
Hey, you assholes, get back here! You dropped me on a mountain. Fine.
Alright, fine, I'll fight him.
Kong, it's in your contract.
I should have renegotiated my contract.
Well, that's what happens when you try to negotiate the contract yourself when you can't read the really tiny contract paper properly.
Oh yeah, Kong thinks he's sneaky. And Godzilla falls for it like a moron.
To his credit, Godzilla's the kind who basically goes, oh, that's a threat. I'll just bulldoze through it, essentially. Later iterations do make Godzilla more of a thinker, but at this point, Godzilla was definitely more about the brute force. Do the Mario swing.
Poor Godzilla is just like, no, I
so
don't
long,
wanna.
gay Godzilla. oh, fuck. Didn't work.
Well, the good old throwing a rock doesn't work either.
I mean, it doesn't help that he either
Right back
misses
at
or Godzilla can just fire it back at him.
Oh, I love it. It's like, oh, okay, you want to play that way.
I also love the war of jump cuts, just to use different takes.
Uh-oh, spikes are glowing. That's not good. All right, son, let me show you how we do it back on the island. But Japan is an island. I'm
Shut
in the
up.
smaller one. You know, again, I know the movie can be a bit of a chore for some to sit through, but I really can imagine why this was probably such a big thing back in the day. Like, two literally larger than life characters crossing over like this. And I guess with the effects of the time being top notch, yeah, this revitalized both franchises, I see.
Ow. Yeah, I've yet to see a From Software game where too much dodge rolling can actually ease you down if you hurt something.
Come on, Kong. Get up!
Java, we forgot to establish the human character Kong can relate to. How can the American audience, understand his plight?
Bring in the maps.
No, that's not how it works.
Dang, he's literally going to just bury him.
Under the rocks.
Hey, I got buried in the last movie.
Now you will know my pain.
Ow.
I didn't even
Ow.
do it.
Ow. Yeah, enough.
Surprise.
Whoa.
The kick! He did the kick! The jump kick. Like, it's not the most insane jump kick he does, where he slides using his tail, but still. The orchestra is just going at it with this.
Ow.
I hope that tail didn't actually bash the actor's face through that mask.
Or whether at least it wasn't as heavy as it looks.
Half-baked gorilla. There's a sentence.
But don't worry, Kong's gonna get like Popeye spinach.
Could we
So zapping Kong apparently makes him stronger.
Could we
Yeah,
reference that?
this is what they give Kong so he can combat Godzilla on an equal footing.
God's
Lightning
intervention.
powers.
King Kong,
Yes.
I bestow you extra power to defeat these menace.
Yes! I feel it! The power! The inspiration! Surging through me! I am a genius! Taste my lightning fists! So, yeah, Kong just harnesses lightning powers.
Again, probably to put him on an equal match and to give him a gimmick, rather than just to throw a rock.
Yeah, I'm guessing this was more so Toho's idea, because this feels anime as all hell.
Not to mention, each kaiju did have a particular gimmick on its own, so they wanted, I guess, to give also King Kong another one. Oh, here we go. Here's the iconic scene. Eat your veggies, Godzilla. Eat it.
But it's disgusting, blah.
I'm just getting warmed up. Suplex! Okay, so I can guess that maybe the battle glove in the legendary picture films was a reference to this, but I don't think any other iteration has brought up him having lightning powers.
No,
No,
not really.
not even the musical starring Jodie Benson. That is actually a thing.
Not even the animated version. There was a Warner Bros. Made animated version, direct to video, I think, in the 90s, and it's bad.
That might be the musical that I'm mentioning.
It also ends
was
with King
Jodie
Kong
Benson
being
in that?
still alive. It might be that, actually, now that I think about it. It's infamous
Let me-
because, again, they do not kill King Kong at the end, meaning that the entire message of the original is gone, basically.
It's a movie called Mighty Kong.
Might
Here
be
you
that,
go.
yes.
Is this what you're thinking
I
of?
think it is that, yes.
Not the spa!
Bloody hell, that was Dudley Ball's last role. Damn.
Wait, for real?
Yeah, apparently. I think his more infamous role was when he was in that Best Defense movie, but test screenings did so badly they cut out some of his stuff and replaced it with new scenes with Eddie Murphy.
Wow.
Don't worry, everyone's been evacuated to the safety zone.
No.
Into the drink they go.
So, who won the fight?
I mean, on a technical level, Godzilla should have more of a natural advantage in the water.
I'll talk about the victor when the movie's over.
Which won't be that long for now. Yeah, the movie's almost over, and remember, as it was custom at the time, the credits would be super short. Can you believe that these days some video games have credits that are long just as much as a movie? Particularly Ubisoft.
I know, right?
Like that in number 9.
That too, but that is because of the backers reward. Some games, like stuff that Ubisoft made, has to create a lot of people, and they get up to 90 minutes, and roughly.
But yep, since King Kong's the one walking off
Emerging,
into the into the distance, it's assumed, and apparently I think even Toho at one point said it, that King Kong won the fight.
It's not mentioned if Godzilla was outright killed, but definitely at the very least discouraged to come back for a very long time.
In fact, on the official Toho Global website, they still have it affirmed in bold that yes, King Kong won the fight, essentially. Like, you gotta love it. Even with Godzilla being more popular, they're like, oh, nope, King Kong won, which kind of makes me wonder why they even bothered to make the ending as ambiguous as it is.
Again, it's all about relative morality. Remember, as what I mentioned, King Kong was more of a natural, neutral kind of figure, while Godzilla by this point was depicted as a straight up bad guy. So having him win outright would have made the ending a bit bleak than anything, more than anything.
But yeah, King Kong basically decides, well, I've had enough of visiting Japan.
Fuck this
Goodbye.
shit.
So yeah, there you go. King Kong won the fight. I wonder if this will come back to play in the future.
So, final thoughts, Dwayne?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, the story's just kind of whatever. It's just greedy people want to get ratings. Oh, and also there's this couple as well, but they don't really have much in the way of development.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really why you're here to see the movie. You're here to see Kong versus Godzilla fight. And the fights themselves are fun enough to watch. Kong's suit looks really weird. Yeah, it's the face is what does it. I said earlier. His weird habit of growing and shrinking his arms.
It's a medical condition, okay? That's why he needs the drugs.
Call it Kongarmitis. Aside from those little issues, overall, I did have a lot of fun watching this version of the movie. It's silly, yeah, but that's part of the fun. That's going to be the case for quite a bit of this era, as we'll see soon enough.
So how long would it take for Godzilla himself to return for a movie? Like, I know that King Kong escapes in
Let me see when
1967.
Godzilla versus Mothra.
Well, Kong versus God. This movie was 1962. The next Godzilla movie was in 1964.
Mothra versus Godzilla, yes. There you go.
Oh, so technically it came quicker than the next King Kong movie.
Right,
that's your final thought, Whips? Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, Java.
It's a good movie. It does feel like it's cheating a bit, but I do think it's my favorite that we've seen so far, commentary-wise, essentially. Because, it feels like this one, despite it being more comedic, does have a lot of the terror you expect from Godzilla. I will say this, though. This feels like a movie that if I were to revisit, I'd probably just clip ahead to the scenes with King Kong and Godzilla and, maybe also the bits where they fight, because the pacing can be a bit boorish at times here and there. Again, it's very much a product of its time. It's a shame about some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, essentially, but it's not like I can really try and belittle this film essentially for just existing. I do wish it had been made under better circumstances, though, essentially, and I like to hope that we are definitely better than a lot of what went on behind the scenes there. Although, at the very least, it sounds like for the most part they managed to avoid animal cruelty on set, so...
Well, outside of the octopus.
Yeah, apparently the octopuses were pushed around using hot air, essentially, though, again, has it actually been confirmed?
Apparently one got eaten, as we've said.
Like, I don't know if that's been confirmed or rumor will, but I guess at least for the making of the movie they were treated well, as opposed to what happened with Journey to the Center of the Earth, essentially. Yeah, no, the Kong suit is rough and awkward, essentially. Meanwhile, the Godzilla suit is obviously the best it's looked of the movies to this point and whatnot. Again, it's actually not bad, I would dare say. It is interesting, looking back at a time where King Kong was undoubtedly the more popular of the two, whereas he had the less amount of appearances, arguably. What he had was apparently bigger weight and impact, essentially, which in turn made him the headliner of this. For all intents and purposes, King Kong is the big hero of this, and Godzilla is the big bad, essentially. King Kong wins, but apparently Godzilla may not truly be down and out, essentially. Which I guess means that pretty much for this continuity, the Godzilla we'll be following is the second one, unless for whatever reason we have to create another Godzilla, but I digress. The music is definitely big and bombastic. Like, you can tell that for the most part, people seem to have understood the assignment with this. We are making the crossover to end all crossovers at the time, so give as much production value as you can to it. But again, like I mentioned, it's clearly a product of its time, because Jesus Christ, that ending is incredibly abrupt. Yes, this massive fight against Godzilla and King Kong ends with them jumping into the water. And yeah, no, for sure, Godzilla's dead. It's not like he ever has a habitat underwater. Oops. Granted, even they do say there's a chance Godzilla may have survived, but I don't know, I feel like they could have given a more definitive looking kill, at least for the most part. Again, maybe they were playing things safe in that regard. Who knows? But yeah, everyone seems to be doing their job properly here and there. It's an enjoyable movie through and through. Yeah, no, give this one the thumbs up from me, essentially. I would give it a rewatch every now and then. Alright, Tio, your final thoughts.
Yeah, this was okay. I still overall prefer the first movie with this. This one is fine for the most part. It gets the basic idea of a crossover right. But unfortunately, its biggest flaw is being tied to its source materials. Godzilla has to be the bad guy because he had been up until this point, so there's no real ambiguity in what if the Japanese government is actually doing a bad move and Godzilla was just minding its own business. No, it's just there to be a dick. And on the King Kong side, it's the fact that is to discount Skull Island with the presence of the natives, although they did try to make them a bit more complex than just, bad stereotyping. So there was a bit of a workaround, but I argue it still wasn't that much enough. The end product is enjoyable for the most part. You do have to get to the fight, unfortunately. Up until then, there's a lot of human bickering that might not interest you. But the actual fight is entertaining for what he wants to do. So back in the day, it would have been worth the ticket actually going there to see this on the big screen. But these days, it's more like of a relic of its time. Not to say that it's aged that poorly, but more of a case of better things came after this, as one might naturally think via the process of evolution of technology. So there is that. And each franchise has moved into different directions. Godzilla got to have his own movie series, and Kong had a bunch of those before hitting the reset button a couple of times. But from what I understand, Lives, we're not out of this just yet next time, aren't we?
No, we're not. So join us next time and get your maps at the ready as we tackle the American version of this movie
So
next time.
See ya.
See ya.